Herzog's Hot Rods and Fabrication. So what I got going on here today is got some rust here on the upper piece of the fender, I guess. Or not the fender, like the wheelhouse. And some nasty rust down here. And I looked at it from the backside and this area right here isn't too bad, so I think I might just put a little square or rectangle piece in here and try to keep that form. And I have to extend the fender down because it doesn't reach the bottom of the rocker, so I'm gonna have to add a little piece on the bottom there. And we're doing a reflector delete, so I'm pretty much just gonna take the reflector out, cut out the little dip or step it has, and just weld in a piece that's identical to this shape. Then we have just a little baby pinhole here and dent. We also have a dent right here, which I'm gonna have to hit out with the hammer and dolly, and I'm gonna try to use the body file. And I wish I had some Dykem layout fluid, but I mean, Allied swears by it. But I think right now I'm gonna try to attempt to use just some spray paint just to see if that does anything. I'm not sure. Don't hate me in the comments or nothing. I've never tried to straighten a panel out with layout fluid before, so I don't have it, so I'm just gonna see if spray paint will, just see if it'll work. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna get going just on this rust piece right here, and if I get that done before lunch, let's say, then I'm gonna work on some of these dents, and then start paying attention to some of the rust spots down here. So first thing I'm gonna do is I determined where I'm gonna cut out. I looked at it from the back side, and pretty much everything on this body line here down is pretty much gone, but everything on this little ledge, like everything from the fold over to the ledge, is pretty good. So if I clean it up and keep my settings down in the welder, I think I can get away with that. And my main goal for this video is I'm going to try to show you how to do basic day-to-day fabrication and what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I want to teach you how to get all this stuff to look like metal finish, you know, because the best way to do metal work is to do it metal finished, because the minimal bondo, that means the higher quality of the build you're going to be. So, and that's always a good habit to have and a good practice to use. So we'll get going here, and I'll take you guys along the way. So what I'm doing here is I got this big sheet of paper. It's pretty much just printer's paper, but my mom's got like a shit ton of it, and we don't have any of the thin cardboard stuff to make templates out of, so I'm kind of just working with what I got. And I'm taking this paper and I'm kind of getting it to sit where I want on the piece, and I'm taking my marker and I'm like getting it on the edge so I can get it like a rough outline. It may not be super accurate, but once you get like a rough template, you can always trim it to exactly what you want. And always cut everything oversized, because you can never add to what you're doing. So I'll set up a camera and hopefully see if we can get a shot of this. And sorry if the music's too loud, I'm just jamming, so sorry about that. Nothing wrong with a little bit of music, especially some Zeppelin at 7:30 in the morning. And it is Labor Day, and I probably should be working, but you know, more money I get, the happier I am. The more business I get, the happier I am. So we can be on the road to success. So this is not super accurate. This is pretty much just a rough draft, as you want to call it, or whatever you want to call it. So this is what I got when I cut it out, and I'm setting it right on the edge of that body line right there. As you can see, we are a little over, so I'm just gonna have to trim about 1/8 of an inch. And once I have that trimmed and everything, I'm going to lay it out on a piece of 18 gauge sheet metal. And what I should probably do is probably cut the piece out first and then make the piece, but it's better to, I don't know, that's just the way I like doing things. I'll make the piece because I know where it's going to be, I know where it's going to weld good, and so yeah, I'll get this piece trimmed up and then I will bring you guys over to the sheet metal stand where we can cut some sheet metal and get a piece laid out for this. So I got my piece marked out for my sheet metal, and I made sure it was the same arc as it is on the piece. And I'm going to be cutting this with my Milwaukee shears, and these things have just saved my life. I got these ones from Menards when I was first starting, and they were just absolute trash. They wouldn't even cut through 18, and that's what they were rated for. So I decided to just go big and bite the bullet and get some Milwaukee. But yeah, they work awesome. So I'm gonna cut this out, and then I'll get back to you when I'm gonna lay it out on the fender. So I got my piece cut out. I gotta lay it out on the fender, and it will need a little bit of trimming, but I mean, it's definitely totally workable. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark a line on the fender where my piece is gonna go, and then I'm going to cut it out, and then once I have that cut out and everything, I will get back to you on getting the piece pretty close to welded in. So yeah. Alright guys, so I got my headphones in, so I don't know if the microphone's going to change at all or if it's going to sound funny, so sorry about that. But I got the piece cut out and I got the shavings and stuff on it, but my piece is oversized, and that is good. It's not a bad thing at all, because that means we have a lot of room to work with. And what I did is I'm laying it out behind it so that I can get an accurate, or mostly accurate, line so I'm going to trace this inside here, and then I'm going to see if I can get it to fit in this space here. And then once that's like okay, or like once I trim it and everything and it's close, then what I'm going to do is refer to as called grind to fit. And grind to fit pretty much means you're grinding the piece and you're grinding the actual thing you're welding to, like the body or the fender or whatever. So you're just grinding the edges so that the edges meet up super nice and they butt up next to each other good and they're flush and everything. And once you like get it mocked up, it pretty much looks like that it's not even meant to be there, or like not even looked like it was there. So I'm gonna trace my line right here, and then I'm gonna grind to fit it. And then once it's ground to fit, then I'm gonna come back and get ready to talk to you about welding and how to do all that sorts of stuff. So, all right guys, so I'm just about ready to do a grind to fit. And what I've done is I've stripped all the old paint off and all the Bondo. It's got some Bondo on there, so it's gonna be difficult, but one thing that I like to keep in mind when I'm grinding my pieces to fit is I like to have a good reference point, like one point that's fixed, you know? It's kind of hard to describe, so like I'm starting here, and as you can see, that fits in there pretty nice. And I'm gonna do just small grinds with the roll-off discs, and I'm just taking a little bit off to where it's pretty much just sits in there like that. And you want as minimal gap as possible. So just pretty much start on one end, then you can use like magnets to hold your piece as well, and kind of help you fine tune it and get it in there where you want. But just pretty much just do small little you're just nicking the metal. You're not like taking a whole ton off unless you have to, obviously, but just take a smidge off at a time and you should be good. But I'll get back to you when it's all ground fit and it's fitted in there. All right, so I got this ground fit and everything, and it's kind of hard to put up here, but with one hand. But I'm gonna move the old man's car, and then we'll get welding, and then I'll talk to you about some stuff about how to weld something like that in. Alrighty guys, so getting ready to weld here, and the type of welder that I'm using is the titanium MIG 140, and it's a Harbor Freight welder, and I've had it since, well, about this time last year, and it's done me pretty good. I've used it pretty much every day for the past year, and well, pretty much every day for the past 9 months, but it's never missed a lick. I mean, it's an awesome welder. It's good for sheet metal. It's good for structural stuff. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better welder for a good price. And I'm running on 110 because only 220 we got for that bad boy. And for gas, I'm gonna be running it on around 15 to 20, so I kind of like to put it in the middle at like 18 or 17. So go ahead and turn the gas on. Make sure you turn it on all the way. And then just get this guy set. Once you start to get a little tight, yeah, be a little calm with it. And turn your welder on and watch the lights flicker. There you go. Make sure you got a nice ground. Don't ground your paint because that's not how you do it. And then always make sure you got gas coming out. If you can hear that, I don't know if you can, but there's gas coming out. So I'm gonna try to set up the camera, and I'm gonna do some tacks, and then I'll show you what I got. So I'm gonna use some TIG gloves because it's easier to handle, and then once I burn it in, I'm gonna put on my heavy duty gloves. But so I'm just tacking it and pretty much making sure that the metal is flush with each other and it butts up nice. And I do have a big gap over here, but I will talk about that later on how to weld something like that. But pretty much for now, I'm just gonna tack it in, and once we get to that point, I'll talk about that. But if it's anything like, this is a little, like, not insane, but what I like to do is I get like a piece of copper and put it just behind there, and that's what I call, or what some people call, copper spoon or copper block, whatever you want to call it. And you put it behind there, and it'll let you weld that gap because it won't stick to the copper, but it'll still like conduct electricity. So I'll tack this up, and then I'll get back to you guys on when I'm about to burn it in. So alright, so she's all tacked in, and one thing I want to talk about when doing patches like this, if you can get away with welding on like an edge like this, it's super perfect for metal finish, because when you grind it, you're not like grinding into like a divot here, and it's impossible unless you have a belt sander, which I do. But like I said, this is just easier to grind because it'll still leave the penetration in the back, and it'll hold, and you can grind this and you can get on both sides, and it's not like, if you get the panels flush and butting up nice to each other, then grinding it will be a piece of cake. Like if it's got this kind of a bow, then you're pretty much set up for success for metal finish. But that's only if the panel is like meant to do that. Like if you weld something and it warps and then it becomes a bow and it's supposed to be straight, then you kind of screwed yourself. But yeah, if you have like any chance to weld on like a body line or a corner or something like this, then that's gonna lead you to success. I mean, that's going to give you the best result for metal finish. And you want everything buttered up nice like these edges here, and you'll just be happy with yourself. So I'm going to fully weld this in, and what I'm going to do is, some guys like to do tacks all around the panel and just kind of let the panel naturally cool. What I like to do, and this kind of makes it go, I mean, it slows it down a little bit, but it makes the process go faster, and it's just the way I like to do it. I'll do a stitch. So what I'll do is, like right here, I'll do like a weld right here, just coins just stacked on top of each other. And I like to do, at the most, if it's on a piece that's not gonna warp hardly, or it's like super not like structural, but like not in a spot where like it's a huge area to warp, I like to do 6 and sometimes 7 tacks on the stitch, but you mainly want like 3 and a max 5. That's for like something like this. So I mean, these I can probably get away with like 4 or 5 if I space them out correctly, but I'll do one and I'll come back. So that's a stitch. Just welds stacked on top of each other, and that right there was 5, and I got it laying right next to the tack. And I didn't want to go any further because I knew I could put like 3 or 4 right in here. So you always got to think about like how you're gonna space it. And I did a couple more, but that was probably the best one out of all 3. Like, got that one, which is, it's okay. That one's okay, I guess. But you don't want to like go right next to each other. You don't want to just run it down the whole thing. I mean, if you got a nice compressor and doesn't run for too long, you might be able to get away with it, but I highly don't recommend it. But you want to just go in different spots, and always cool your weld. If you do this and you're not cooling your weld, then you might as well just like stop. Because if you don't cool your welds, then you're gonna have a hell of a headache. Because this is gonna warp, it's gonna be bendy and warpy and nasty. So whatever you do, always cool your weld. You can use an air gun, or you can use a super cold, towel with water in it, or like a damp towel or whatever. Anything that's going to keep that weld cold. I cannot express this enough, because I was working with a guy and he made wheel tubs, and he did not cool his welds at all, and it was warping, and I had to fix it, and it was just straight hell. So always cool your welds. So when you stitch it, cool it with the air gun, and if you want some reassurance, touch it with your hands, bare hands, make sure it's cold, and after a while you get like a feel for how long you should cool it and whatnot. So just do that around the whole entire panel, stitch it, and keep moving around. Always cool your welds, and I'll get back once we're all cooled, or maybe I'll try to set up some welding shots here. I apologize in advance. This compressor I got, it's gonna be super loud, super annoying, so rip headphone users. Always keep your nozzle clean. This may not be clean, but it's gonna be good enough for what I'm doing here. It doesn't have to be ice cold. It could be like a little bit warm, but you still want to just watch out. so now we're gonna get to grinding. And I got my snap-on angle die grinder here, and I got 36 grit on the roll-lock disc. And what you're pretty much gonna do when you're metal finishing stuff, sorry, there's a bee in here. Fuck them. So what you're gonna do is be in the center and pretty much just touch, like grind your welds down, but don't hit any of the sides yet. So grind them down, and then once you kind of have an idea of where the weld's at, like height wise, like if the panel is like off a little bit, or it's super hard to explain, but I'll just demonstrate for you. I'll start right here and whatnot, but I'll flip the camera around and we'll get going. This bee is my bitch. Oh, and one thing to protect yourself is these bad boys. And I got the 3M work tunes for earmuffs and ear protection, but for this I'll just go with nothing because they're what my phone is resting on. So we'll just do it for now. So, if you can see, it's pretty much just ground down, and you can kind of get an idea of if the weld is like too high or too low or anything like that. And then once you feel comfortable, then grind it all the way down to both metal pieces, I guess you would say. And then we'll go from there. So I got that ground down and everything, and when you grind it, always don't like stay in one spot and just like get it down to bare metal and then keep moving slowly. Always just move along the panel. You don't, and this will help because you're not staying in one spot and heating it up and warping it. So just kind of go along and get nice fluid motions with it. And I can, in the future, I'm going to talk about how to get a nice uniform edge. Actually, I can talk about it right now. Once you have your weld like ground down to where you want it, not like this, but like how it is here, you're going to grind the weld, and then you're going to have like a hard edge, and you're going to want a 45, and 22, and 22. That's degrees, okay. And for something like this, it's going to be a little different. Like, you're going to pretty much go along and gradually make a curve. And then after that, we're going to use what has been called in my old shop, or the shop that I worked at. The guys called this a hamburger wheel, but it's pretty much a roll-lock strip disc. I don't know where the hell a hamburger wheel came in, but then you're going to put it on here. That's gonna clean all these marks and shit. And then that's gonna make it a hell of a lot easier to use the DA on it. But I'm using 36, and that's all I really have available right now. I'm working on getting 60 grit, because 60 grit finishes a hell of a lot nicer, and you don't get as many marks. And my dad's buddy got me 40s because I told him, you know, I'm running out, and he just ordered them straight out of nowhere, and I was like, what are you doing? Well, I guess I'll use them. But what I really like about like the company that I really like is 3M for their roll-lock discs, because they last so much longer than these, and you can get like 50 of these for like 30 bucks. So 3M's got a lot of good products for stuff like this. 3M also sells these that you can screw on here, and I actually got a few of them in there, a couple old ones, but 60 grit is what I would really recommend for something like this. Maybe 36 to get it down, and then put 60 on it to smooth it out. But I can put the roll-lock, the hamburger wheel on it, and we'll see how it looks. So that's the piece with the hamburger wheel, or just strip disc. That's what happens when the strip disc gets put on it. And now, I'm really upset that I didn't do 60 grit on this, because 36 is all I have. I mean, you can still see those marks, and that's super tough, especially when you're metal finishing something. When you DA that, you're gonna see that shit, and it's a pain in the ass. So if 3M is watching this, can you please send me over some 60 grit roll-lock discs, please? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this with the DA, and then that'll pretty much be it. So that's pretty much the finished piece with the DA taken to it. And getting finished lines like this is super hard to master. I mean, it's easy to learn. And sorry, I'm hearing a mouse or something. Hopefully not a mouse, but you know, but like I said, you can still see those 36 grit marks, and that's just really, really tough, especially when you're metal finishing something. But I will grind this all the way down, and I'll metal finish it, and I'll come back when I'm done. So this is what I got. The ends didn't flush out the best, but I mean, you're always gonna expect to put at least a little bit of butter on it. But otherwise, she's pretty smooth. She's got a nice flow, no humps or nothing. My line is pretty good, but that's pretty much the only thing. That ground down nice in the bottom. But yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. It's a metal finish stuff. So I'm gonna end the video there. I'm gonna probably do one of these guys next. I'll have to figure it out. But I gotta hit some of these dents out, and gotta hit this one out. It's pretty nasty. But now I gotta fill that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. That was the first half of the day, so it's kind of goes to show you how quick and easy you can get shit done, and you know, and how fast you learn stuff, and how fun it can be. So, but yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. I'd like to make a shout out to Outlaw Edge on YouTube and Outlaw Edge Blade Works on Instagram. Arco Horton, such a good guy, super nice. He gave me a shout out a couple days ago on YouTube, and man, I can't thank him enough for that. I've gotten so much publicity and recognition in the past few days and whatnot, and it's been really killer. So I'd like to give him a shout out, and go sub his channel and go click the bell for notifications for his videos. So, but if you'd like to sub my channel, leave some comments down below. If you guys want me to make more videos like this, I can, but I kind of just discovered the dog's barking. But I kind of just discovered the how hard it is to work and film YouTube videos. So I'm probably not gonna make videos every day. I'm probably just gonna do them a couple days a week, maybe a few days a week, so I can get stuff done and kind of adapt to this whole thing. But it's definitely fun. I'm loving the support you guys are giving me, and it's awesome to see the older guys support the younger guys. So I totally appreciate it. So yeah, that's it for today. And drop a like and put a comment down there, and guys have a good day. Oh, and if anyone has got an old 40s, 50s, or 30s truck like this, International, Ford, Chevy, probably not Dodge, but whatever you got, anything like this in this vicinity, like something out of a junkyard that's got a 6-cylinder or 8-cylinder or whatever for a few grand and you're trying to get rid of it, please let me know, anyone, because I need something like this for a shop truck and just something to promote my business with. So if anyone you know, or if you know anyone, that made no sense, but you guys know anyone that's got any of these trucks, please let me know in the comments.